So we're going to do a little experiment. Make sure you're close enough to get the audio, okay, Sean? We're going to see if we can combine more the podcast with the videos and to see if you benefit more from it, and then also friends in Mexico, Marta and her students, okay? And this will give us another opportunity to go back into Ikkyo and further refine our technique, okay? And to give you more perspective. So we'll do a little talking at first. We're going to start looking at the technique through yin-yang theory, okay? Why? Well, the technique was designed through yin-yang theory. And what is the benefit of this kind of investigation is I can reverse engineer all the crap that has become Aikido through the decades by seeing if it is consistent with yin-yang theory. Just like any kind of reason-based paradigm. Is the paradigm consistent here or not? If it's not, I should look for a different way of doing the technique. Do you understand? So the techniques were designed that way. No one really knows how far back yin-yang theory goes. A lot of times people will say it was in the I Ching, which is a book that later became a kind of divination, magic-based ritual text, but there's problems with that interpretation, even though that is the most popular one nowadays. The podcast will cover most of that, but the I Ching is somewhere 6 or 7 BCE. Okay, now in the I Ching, it was not called yin and yang, but you can see the philosophy there. Actually, the words, the designations there were used was firm and yielding, which is very close to some of the meanings that we use when we talk about Kokyu and Aiki. You see? So what is yin-yang? Some basic premises here. Yin-yang is not a philosophy. It is an experiential system of being. Meaning, it's not something you reach through language games like Wittgenstein might have reached what meaning is and what's not meaning and that kind of stuff. It was what do I experience in the world? And then, okay, this seems to be consistent with that. Some underlying premises that we'll discuss here, and then we'll discuss more of the complex ones in the podcast, is that human beings have a special status in that they can both go against yin-yang theory or they can go with it, which means that you can fuck up or not fuck up, okay? And that is why we are interested in reverse engineering the technique versions that we've seen up till now, okay? Because they can easily be incorrect. Today, it's very common for someone to look at yin-yang theory and say that it's some sort of alternative to Judeo-Christian morality, that it has no reference of good or evil. This is incorrect. Evil is just another manifestation. It could be a yin evil, it could be a yang evil. And also there's a whole other level of unnaturalness for somebody who's violating yin-yang theory, meaning you could actually be doing evil according to yin-yang theory, which is bad, not good for everyone else. But to also violate yin-yang theory is to be unnatural, which is a whole other level of shithead. Do you understand that? Okay. And because of that, from the time it was generated, it was considered a cultivated state. Meaning, awakened people could do proper yin-yang theory, and unawakened people just cannot. And so you would do dance, ritual, and martial arts through ritual forms to kind of embody or act out a yin-yang idealized scenario. That's where your Kihon Waza comes from, okay? So with that in mind, now let's look into more what it is, well, or where we most misunderstand. So people that just see the I Ching as a kind of divination magical text, you get these lists. This is all the yins and this is all the yangs. But the early sources, this is very much a misunderstanding, and that's probably what led to the corrupt versions of Kihon Waza we have today. Nothing is yin a priori, and nothing is yang a priori, okay? And nothing can remain yin, and nothing can remain yang. So yin and yang are relative and transitory. Do you understand that? And part of the problem with bad Kihon Waza is that it's not relative, and it tries to be permanent. It defies its transitory nature. Okay? At the same time, yin and yang is manifested concentrically. So maybe my right arm is going to be yin to my left arm, for example, and be in a transition of moving into yang, and as my left arm moves into yin. Do you understand? Okay, but that might be how you can look at it externally. Concentrically, I can go internally, and if my external skeletal muscular system is yang, then inside must be yin. Okay? And you can go one more concentric circle in. My mind has to be in harmony, whether it's yin or yang, depending on what I'm doing with my arms. Do you understand that? It can't just be bodily. And for this reason, the sage is the only one who can do yin-yang. Or you could reverse that and go, whoever can do yin-yang is a sage. Do you understand that? That's how Chinese philosophy looked at these things. Everyone was trying to be that person, that cultivated person. So it has to include my body. It has to be relative to what he is doing. It has to be relative to what I'm trying to do. It has to include my internal organization. It has to include my mind as well. Got it? Okay? All right. So let's just start with Ikkyo, and we'll do Aihanmi. Okay? And the first thing we're going to learn is we're going to do a yang manifestation. So yang firm, not yielding. Okay? So he's pushing, and I am going to take his energy and let it pass through me down to that foot. But I'm not going to let it pass through me by losing my arm. So as the external form of my arm is yang, then the internal form has to be yin. So he can squish, and it's very mushy. Do you see? It's very mushy. You can squish everything. It's very mushy. You can wiggle everything. This is not easy, okay? But I have to start there. So, boom. And again, you can compare, and you can squish things. Hard, squish so you can see how mushy it is. And he's pushing. He's pushing hard. But it stays like that, okay? And just go ahead, keep doing this. So this is external yang and internal yang, and that's totally different, isn't it? Okay? All right, so that would be a violation of yin-yang theory, okay? All right, let's try to get there. Go. So okay, so again, if This is a physiological skill. It's also psychological because if he triggers me with fear or threat, then internally I will have tension, and then I don't have yin-yang here. Okay, but there is a huge physiological component to it that we tackle by releasing it and relaxing. Okay, but how come I'm not flying backwards? How come it's not yielding? There is a yielding component, but where's the yang component? Yes, the ground. And so to the earth, he's yin. Do you understand that? Because relative to me, maybe he's yang, but relative to the earth, he's yin. He's a speck of dust. Okay? So that's what I'm doing here is I'm triggering the ground. Okay? So we're going to same thing. I want you to see how mushy everything is, but structural integrity. And I'm just going to push on the earth, and you can see that there is now yin to him relative to it. Push hard. Push hard. Okay, let's try it. Good. All right. So if I cannot organize the yin and yang here, and I cannot organize the yang to yin here, now I have to change the technique. So I start doing this kind of stuff, you see? So instead of using the ground, I use this kind of pushing my hips. Do you see that? I'm just kind of pushing it. As opposed to, it's more I actually am releasing. I'm releasing more, so he hits the ground more. I'm actually releasing more, as opposed to this one. Pushing in. You see that? And so because I lacked the physiological skill, now I had to change the technique. You see that? But you can use yin-yang theory and go, that's just pushing on what's pushing on you. Do you understand? And so I know that's wrong. Okay? But that's how it happens. Okay? All right, so let's take those mechanics, and now let's look relative to between him and I, and relative to the technique, the prescribed movement. Okay? So I'm going to take the same external firmness, internal yielding, and I am going to keep it in 0. That's what I want to do. That's what the technique does. So here we have a contention. Do you see that? That's what I was using to be able to project him. So if he went yin, right? When I yield, he goes yin. Go yin. That's yang. Try it again. He goes yes. Do you see? And there's no projection. But if he pushes hard, boom, there's a projection. So we're going to show it again. When I yield, you yield. Do you see? Done nothing. Okay? So I don't want to violate that by going positive or negative, because he could yield if I go like this. You see? So instead, I keep this feeling, this pressure right here, and I move off. Now this will look to you like there was yielding on the arm. Like I'm going like this. You see? But I'm not. I'll show you. So when I go here, can he push in? I go here, can he push in? I go around, can he push in? Push hard. No. So you can see, okay? And you're going to push me here. Okay, so I'm going to yield. You're going to push, Leah. We're on the other side. You're going to push me. See? That's not what I'm doing. This is what a lot of people understand Aikido and yielding and Aikido. They go, oh, it's so soft. Because the guy's going like this. You see? It is soft at the hand, but it's not soft anywhere else. Because then I don't have the inner yang. Do you understand? So, I take the wrist, and I'm going to make the wrist grab yin, so that the elbow becomes yang. Do you understand? But not like this. This is now pushing back. And it doesn't matter if you have a good body mechanics. That is still pushing. So this yields, pulls, and the elbow picks up. You'll feel his weight in the elbow. Because the wrist is going to be yin, the elbow is going to be yang. The elbow is his upper body, so his lower body is going to be what? Yin. Okay? So make the wrist yin, elbow yang, because we want the lower body yin. So, boom, you'll feel the weight there. Heavy, right there, you'll feel that. I just want you to feel that. Heavy. Not this. That's making the wrist yang. Go around the wrist, elbow heavy. So it feels yang. Boom, pop. Yin, yang. Yin, yang. Okay, so let's do a little bit more sophisticated philosophy. How did I actually make the elbow yang? Yes, yes. Okay, so I helped it manifest as yang, as I brought yang energy to it. Okay, and then guess what we're going to do after I make his elbow yang? I'm going to make it go yin again. Okay, but I just want you to, I have structure as it's moving around. This is now yin, and then you're going to feel the elbow. Common mistake, too soft yielding. Common mistake, keeping hard. Go around, pull, then the weight's going to be there. Okay, let's trust. So, there's certain geometries that you have to have. Okay, so watch the geometry that I'm using. And generally there's an inward turning spiral, and then there's the opposite, this is the outward turning spiral. Okay, so as I go, look. Whoa. So I'm coiling outward this way. Not like this. That's yang. Then there is the larger circle, which is I'm moving this that way. You see that? So some of you are going yang to yang. Some of you are only doing the larger circle, but you're going to get yang right about there, okay? So if you curve around it, you won't get it. Now, here's the thing. You're going to try that and you won't get it. Why?
Because you have to do the two in relation.
What was that?
Because you have to do the two in relation with one another.
Okay, but why can't I do the two in relation to each other? You're right. What's the inner concentric circle?
One is yin and one is yang. You have to do both.
My mind is going to jack me up, okay? Because I can't yield to him. He pushes on me and I will push back. Do you understand? And so these patterns will not make sense to you. You will not trust them. This will feel totally crazy to you unless you do this. Okay? You understand? But it is soft, but firm. It is both. it's a matter of going back. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. Do you see? There's nothing that Yang says. Remember, I told you, yin does not mean it's always going back. Yin can go forward. Okay? Okay, so remember we said that I help make that yang by being yin, okay? And then by giving it yang. So how much you get of one is how much you give of the other. You understand? That means they're relative. We said that. And they're interdependent. So when I make, how much yang you get there is how much yin you gain here. Okay, so if I use yang on this hand, and that elbow will stay there, do you see? There's not going to be much projection. But if the yin hand is truly yin, then you get a lot of projection. Okay? And then so forth. So the more yang the elbow becomes, then the more yin his lower body becomes. Which I need because I'm going to do irimi. So if I go yang, he's way out there. There's not much irimi relative to him because he does not come in enough. Okay? So to help me get him in more, once I go yang here, once he goes yang here, I let this yang energy go that way. I do not push it in front of me. Again, the lower consciousness is going to want to push on it because it's pushing on you. You already did your job. Boom, it goes around you this way. And it brings him in more. Okay? So in the last drill, yin, and we were showing yang. You understand? Well, instead of pushing it this time, I'm going to yield to it. It's firm, so I'm going to yield and I'll bring it around my body. And as I bring it around my body, right, around, I have the linear line of irimi. There's your yin-yang. And I have the yin of his shikaku, where I want to go, okay? So we go, boom, and I'm in here. And both hands, soft. It starts hard and then gets really soft as I go in. And the irimi is very hard. Boom, boom. And my technique again is very relaxed. But there's no yielding to it like most Aikido becomes. I'm not doing that. There we go. Wait for that. Okay, let's go. So again, remember, we'll make the point again. So when people yield here, they yield all over. And now we have a yang manifestation right here with the irimi. And then again, you'll yang all over. Oh, you're pushing that elbow. You're not letting him come in. So the elbow goes soft. The irimi is hard, firm. So don't half-ass it. Here, like, because your elbow went yin here, and you're like this. Boom, boom, boom. That same ground energy, I use it. You understand? Remember how I made him yin with that ground energy? I do the same thing. So this foot is going to ground. Boom, boom. And I'm moving in by loading up the planet.
boom, boom. Boom. There's the yang. Let it go around you this way. Load the right foot. Boom. In. Boom. There's the yang. Let it go around you. Load the left foot. In. Do not rudder. You're not loading the planet. Okay? Do not stay out here and push. You didn't let the elbow go yin. So, boom, boom, around, boom, load the planet. Big circle, little circle, there's the yang, goes around you, load the foot, boom. Boom, big and little circle, there's the yang, let it go around you, load the foot, boom, in. Okay, let's try. Okay. So here the class is breaking apart. We lost some at the beginning, but now we have you two yang here, and you're pushing that in. The elbow is irrelevant now. Imagine he has a front line. I got past the front line. And I'm heading towards the king, okay? So as I go around, you don't even need that. You got past it. Boom there, goes here. You guys are pushing, you're using this to get his balance. You see that? But now he's pushing on you. And that's why you lose your balance and take all those baby steps and those pauses. You're waiting for the inertia to change direction. So you have reconciled, here we are. Reconciled here. Therefore, then, if I'm not pushing on his elbow, I don't need to be stronger than his elbow. Do you understand? But it doesn't mean it's soft. It's just soft at his elbow. The base is hard. Okay, let's go. Started with this contention point. You can see I'm starting to reconcile it. Then I have another contention point, and I let it go past me. And then I take his base. Watch the other way. It's all yang on yang. Okay? No matter how you do it, totally different. Okay? It's all yang on yang. And of course, right, if the person pushes into me, right? If I'm strong enough, he's not going to do it. Do you understand? Okay, we're here, go, enter, right? He's not going to do it. If I am allowed to counter, go, boom, he's not going to do it. Do you get it? Okay, so here's why I bring that up. I am not using his arm to take him down. He was already going down. Do you understand? So if I wasn't prescribed this ritual narrative, the technique is over. A guy comes in, right? Boom, I'm here. Boom, I'm drawing. You see? Or I'm running, or I'm fighting the next guy. But he was already following, so what I'm going to do is stay up with his arm. Boom, boom, stay up with his arm. I'm not pushing him. Around my body, stay up with his arm. Stay up with it. In contrast, you get here. You see that difference? Boom, boom, push up. There's no gooey part, but there's no yang on yang. You will have a hard time doing this because you went yang on yang here, and you have to wait for the weight to get off of you in order to move your body. But if you went yang on yin, when I use the planet, then you will always be yielding to me. Okay, let's go. So as you get in the ballpark, you want to really start working on that inner circle. Be relaxed, okay? Because the nature of the narrative is he is overall yang, in that he's the aggressor, he's the initiator. Do you understand? And so the overall skill that I want is the yielding skill. I want the yielding skill at the most inner circle. Your spirit, your mind, your consciousness, I don't care what you call it, okay? So the best way of refining that is your uke has got to go hard and fast. Two things are going to happen. Your uke will amplify all of your yang conflicts, which is the non-sage-like behavior, the contestation, the resistance, okay? Because even though I can see in your minds and your faces, you think you're getting it, but you have a lot of yang on the elbow, and you're not getting it. And when they come in full speed, they're going to show you the yang conflicts by your base being knocked off, adjustment steps, or waiting. You have to wait for the inertia to unpin your feet. You understand? So all of that is telling you, and even if you succeed in doing the technique, stutter steps, waving foot, pauses, uke stopping, those are all the results of yang-yang conflicts or violations of yin-yang theory. If, on the other hand, you're doing it right, it actually gets easier. Okay? Oh, why? Because there's less Aikido requirement. And Aikido is a more difficult skill. Alright? So, but I can use hard training, even at my level, I might not have as many mess-ups, as many yang-yang conflicts, but he will still trigger my inner concentric circle. And so I have to keep practicing the releasing, okay? And that is a perishable skill. So if I take a week off, guess what? It's back, okay? That's why we train daily. And the more you train daily and the more years you have, the longer duration you can have without training, and the more intense your situation can be before it actually triggers you to failure. Do you understand? Okay, so he just comes in, he's going to run in as hard as he can, and I move. And I'm really working in here. Even the lust of throwing him, I'd have to let go. All tension, let it go. Okay? All right, let's try it.